Happy Monday. It's time for the last book talk of the school year. Woo! We still have to come to school next Monday. We're going to be busy taking in all the books that are going to come back on that last day that books are due, Monday, May 15th. And I'll take that week off. I may or may not continue doing these over the summer. I did them last summer just to kind of keep myself in the habit of doing it so that I wouldn't be all freaked out when I came back in August and have to start off not having done it for a couple of months. So, but we'll see. This last week I read 4 books. I was finishing this up at the end of the reading challenge, or the 24-hour readathon last week. I was about halfway through it, so I didn't talk about it last week. Our Numbered Days by Neil Hilborn. I came across this from watching a video that some of you may have seen on Facebook. It was a YouTube video of Neil performing a poem that I believe was called OCD, and it's basically about falling in love with a girl who took all of those tics and worries away, but then she went away, and then, him having to deal with that. I really enjoyed this book of poetry. It's very quick to read. A lot of discussion about specifically obsessive compulsive disorder, but also depression, figuring yourself out as an artist and a person in the world. So if you're interested in poetry and or dealing with mental illness, then you may be interested in reading that book. I also recommend looking up the videos because poetry often gains a lot from performance. So a lot of power and emotion come through, especially when the person who wrote the poem is doing the performing. So check it out. The publisher is called Button Poetry, so you can look up Button Poetry and find videos and poems by other poets as well. This one has been all over the Instagrams and various places in social media, Milk and Honey. We have 2 copies of this. It was on hold for lots of different people there for a while. It's a very quick read. You can read it in less than an hour. Some people told me they read it in 10-15 minutes, which to me isn't really enough time to really absorb a poem, especially a whole book of poems, but, what do you say? Milk and Honey by Rupi Kaur, I guess is how you'd say her last name. I'm probably messing it up, but that's fine. For me, I didn't enjoy this as much as Our Numbered Days. I don't know. I'm not a teenager anymore, and I'm not, figuring myself out as much as I was when I was a teenager and a young adult. So maybe it's just that I'm not in that mindset to really have these poems be very powerful for me. I have heard a lot of people tell me that they really enjoyed it. It's about being a woman. It's about growing from trauma and bad relationships and sexuality and, finding your place, figuring yourself out, who you are, not just in relation to other people, but also, singularly. But anyway, so check it out if you want. It's very popular. This one, The Education of Margot Sanchez, I really enjoyed this. It's by Rivera. It's set in the Bronx, and it's about this girl named Margot whose nickname is Princessa. And she's always been kind of a pampered princess. Her father owns 2 supermarkets called Sanchez and Sons, which he runs with the help of his son, who is named Junior. And Junior's always kind of been a little bit of a mess up. He's not done what he was supposed to do, but he and the dad go round and round about what he's doing or not doing to live up to his expectations. There's a lot of pressure on Margot to kind of pick up where her brother left off. Her brother he dropped out of college. She is expected to be a doctor or a lawyer or something. They've sent her out of the neighborhood to this fancy school. And before the book opens, she stole her parents' credit card and spent $600 on nice clothes to help her fit in with these 2 girls that she's decided are her ticket to, acceptance socially at Somerset, the school she's going to. And her punishment, because of course they caught her, because they got a statement, her punishment is to work at the family grocery store all summer, to not just pay back that $600, but also to pay for her upcoming back-to-school expenses. So through working at the grocery store, she learns more about what exactly that entails. She learns more about the neighborhood and what exactly is all going on in her neighborhood through this boy who has set up a table outside of the supermarket, and he's giving away pamphlets and trying to get people to sign a petition to stop a development that is going to come in and place these fancy condos where low-income housing used to be. So there's talk about gentrification of the neighborhood, which, you know, makes it nicer to kind of pull people with money back in, but it also pushes the people that have been there for decades that aren't, you know, as wealthy, pushes them out, and where do they go from there? So there's a lot of talk about that, economics, politics, growing past your friends you've had, coming back around. You know, a lot of books for young adults are about finding your place. So this one also is about finding your place, figuring out who you are, and how that works with what you've come to know. And there's some drama in this book. There's some people doing some stuff they're not supposed to be doing, and she finds that stuff out. You know, I'm not going to tell you what it is because then you won't be surprised. But it was definitely enjoyable. I would recommend it. And lastly, the Grimm Conclusion. This was one of the books I was reading with my son, Sam. This is the third book. We're going to put a number on there, but I mentioned the Tale Dark and Grimm and Through a Glass Grimly, and this one's the Grimm Conclusion, and it does wrap everything up. I hate it when I pick a book and the trilogy isn't, or the end of the trilogy isn't my favorite, but that's kind of what happened here. I wasn't super excited about the way this book ended. I don't know, maybe I was just not in the mood or not feeling it. I was finished with this particular story, or whatever, but I was glad to be done. So we'll just say that. Anyway, hope you all have a great week. Bring us your books back. If you have books, if you have fines, please pay them. Don't forget you can bring in a box of tissue or a bottle of Germex or a paperback book. All those things are worth $5. Or you can bring a hardcover book. That's one like this, you know. That's worth $10. You can pay other people's fines too if you want to. If you're super generous, you have a bunch of stuff laying around in your house you don't want and it's in good shape, you want to give it to us, and you want to pick somebody who's fine to pay, or if you want to pay it forward and we can just, you know, pay the next person who walks over the fine. Because of your donations, you're welcome to do that as well. So, anyway, have a nice week. And we're not going to do a tip on Thursday. We might do a year-end video talking about what all we did this year. Maybe if we feel like it. So, let us know if you're watching our videos. That would be nice. It makes us feel better that we're not just talking to ourselves. See ya.